prophecies and conspiracies. Peering into darkness is what we do. Derek and Sharon Gilbert break it all down for you.
We are back and welcome to the program. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert. You know what? We have missed you. Been too long. We missed a whole weekend.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we didn't miss it.
No. We were in Springfield for the second annual Remnant Rising Conference, Remnant Rising 2.0.
Yeah, you know what? I hope this does become an annual thing. According to Mike and Jamie, there's going to be one next year, so mark it on your calendars. Check hearthewatchman.com to see what the dates are going to be. And I think you can still sign up to download their on-demand of all of the presentations.
Yes, which I encourage you to do. A lot of different presentations, different takes on things. But basically, I think we would all agree that we're in the middle of a supernatural war that requires your participation. You are in the middle of a battlefield, whether you realize it or not.
We've said it since the start of this podcast that you are born on a battlefield, and you can either choose to engage in the battle or you will be, well, collateral damage in some cases. So you don't want to be that. You don't want your family to be that. So Ephesians 6 is what we live by.
Absolutely. In fact, I use that phrase in the introduction to War of the Watchers, which, by the way, is now available at Amazon and at the Skywatch TV store. We'll tell you more about that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's also
special offer.
Kindle.
It is available on Kindle at Amazon. So, again, we'll tell you more about that later in the program. But a lot to catch up on since we missed a week.
So very much. Well, I want to begin with a story that I've been following for years. Ebola outbreaks in Africa that can affect the rest of the world. But also, we have to remember that we don't live in Africa, unless, of course, you're listening from Africa. And if you are, we welcome you here. And if you are listening from Africa and you have information about what might be going on in the Uganda DRC outbreak, please comment to this video on YouTube or send us a note on the app, and we'll tell you how to download the app in a minute. But right now, the Ebola, the official, as of August 1st, so this is old, but the official infection count is 2,130 people. Sorry, death count is 2,130 people.
Yeah.
Infection is 4,587 people. This is as of August 1st. And these numbers are actually thought to be very low compared to the real numbers because the healthcare workers don't always see the patients. Some people have died at home secretly because families are afraid to go to the hospitals.
Yeah, that's about a 47% infection fatality rate based on the official numbers. But again, we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
And in Africa, based on their experiences with Western medicine, they don't have a lot of faith. There's a high level of distrust, let's put it that way.
Well, let me tell you another reason why distrust may spike. There is a trial taking place for this strain of Ebola, which is the Bundibugyo strain, and there is no vaccine, there is no treatment as of today. There is a trial going on of a product that is referred to as Ebo-PEP. That is its trial name, EBO-PEP. And it is being tested in the way that has to run these tests. It means that there are some who get the actual product and some who get a placebo. Well, the reason I'm seeing this story is not because people in the hospitals who are patients or families are complaining. It's because the healthcare workers are complaining. They're complaining to the World Health Organization that they don't want to run the risk that they receive a placebo, because even the healthcare workers are included in the trial, and they do not know, nor do these scientists on the field, on the ground, know who gets what. So if you are a family member or a family in the area, you don't want to run the risk that you might get a fake version of the treatment. So if healthcare workers are rebelling about this, when it gets out, I think they're going to have difficulty getting folks to line up for the jab.
The same kind of thing happened during the jab, 6 years ago, where they broke protocol and did not adhere to the proper double-blind test,
Right.
or process for getting an accurate measure of the efficacy of the treatment. So
Right.
they're refusing to abide by the protocol, where you have to have one control group that's getting a placebo and the other control group getting the treatment.
Yeah. And sometimes there's a third control group where all they get is just nothing.
Yeah.
They're just still exposed to see what happens.
Yeah, lovely. When you're dealing with a disease with this kind of fatality rate, though, you can understand why people would not want to be in the control group.
No. But
Even if the
sometimes
treatment is experimental, because, even if the experimental side effects are
horrendous.
severe, people are so afraid of what Ebola can do to you, understandably so.
Nearly
that-
50% death rate.
Yeah, and not a very pleasant death either.
Oh, no, it's terrible.
Yeah, hemorrhagic fevers are nasty. You essentially bleed out because your blood vessels
One of
just
the...
leak all over the place. And it's awful.
Yeah, in my book, Ebola and the Fourth Horseman of the Apocalypse, which came out in 2015, I did research on the original outbreak in, I think it was 1976 or so, in Africa. It was in the Republic of Congo. And one of the early symptoms at the time was that patients would have this manic fear of anything. And it wasn't always obvious what was going on. And so patients who were in the end stages of Ebola would suddenly jump up from their beds and run out. It was as if the virus was compelling them to go out and infect others.
Yeah.
That's spiritual.
Yeah. It's almost like something from a horror movie. I'm thinking that X-Files episode where they had to go to try to contain try to investigate something that was going on in what was the Arctic, I think, a research lab in the Arctic.
Yes. It was very similar to a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
Where the Star Trek landed and they were supposed to find out why a research station had gone dark. And so they walked in and everybody was frozen. And many of them had done fearful things to others, but were frozen in place, doing the fearful thing to someone else.
Yeah.
As if they'd been driven mad.
Yeah, and in the case of the X-Files episode, it was some sort of bizarre fungus that was, causing them to try to expose as many others as possible. There's something like that in the animal kingdom where a fungus infects ants, and then the ants are compelled to get up, to climb the highest, blade of grass or whatever they can, so that when the spores emerge, they're blown as far and wide as possible.
Right.
Yeah,
as if they're being driven like trucks.
Yeah,
Which gets into a Millennium episode.
Right. Yeah, it's that is creepy. That is creepy.
I know. So, yes, pray for the people who live in the DRC and also Uganda and the surrounding nations.
Yeah, our friend Troy Brewer and his ministry team that was just returning from Uganda had to go through some very intense protocols that they had to split up as a group. They couldn't all come back as a group. They had to split and go to different airports. And some of the ministry team is still stuck in Uganda waiting for permission to leave.
I have to wonder, and I'd love to talk to Troy about this. We should probably send him a note and ask him. If they were split up because they could only get seats on certain airlines and therefore you took whatever seat was available, that makes sense. However, if it was because of infection protocols from the U.S., that makes no sense because you want to keep those people together.
Yeah, rather than splitting them up and exposing people on other airlines. Yeah, It may just be that there aren't that many flights that will connect you back to the United States from Entebbe.
That could be. I know when Liz has flown over there, she had to go through Cairo.
Yeah. I think they came back through Doha, Qatar.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, but again, don't know. I've never flown to Uganda, completely unfamiliar with the process.
Yeah, me too.
So, but it is something, as you say, to pray for. The other aspect
well, because they've got some people still stuck there, I think.
Yeah,
You may have
exactly.
said that, so
I did
forgive
say
me.
that, yeah. The other thing that, speaking of distrust of the medical establishment, when we report on stories like this, because of what happened 6 years ago, there are people who will respond to this news and say, well, look, they're just trying to scare us into taking another. No, when you're dealing with it, look, COVID-19 had an infection fatality rate of 0.2%. Mm-hmm. That's twice that of the typical seasonal flu, and nobody freaks out about the flu.
Well, a lot of organizations insist you take protection for that. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. But there isn't the kind of thing that we had to go through the way our lives were disrupted back in 2020 and 2021.
No.
Social distancing, putting a nappy on your face.
Yeah. I don't want to discuss that particular event too much because it's a good way to get this canceled, which brings us to why you should download our app.
Yeah, exactly. We will not be canceled from our app, so you can find that a couple places, pidradio.com/app, but our main website is gilberthouse.org/app, and you can get the mobile version, but also the app
Smart
for
TV
smart
version.
TVs and set-top boxes. Again, gilberthouse.org/app. The distrust caused by what happened 6 years ago will lead people to say, yeah, you're just sensationalizing, you're trying to scare us. No, actually we're not. When you're dealing with, you really can't compare the two diseases. 0.2% fatality rate versus in the current outbreak, based on official numbers, about 47%. Mm-hmm. That's something to really pay attention to. There were more than 11,000 people who died in the West African outbreak, and this one is growing at a faster rate than the West African outbreak of 12 years ago.
It's thought by most experts that this will outpace.
Yeah.
It is already outpacing, but will outgrow entirely. So please pray for those nations that are exposed and all the healthcare workers who are going there, because there are many individuals who go there to minister and go there to help with the healthcare. So, and some do both while they're there, because a lot of Christians go over there, Christian doctors go over there, so please pray for them. What else is going on in the world?
Well, an interesting report that kind of flew under the radar this past week, and this is reported by the Jerusalem Post, which is citing reporting by Kan News in Israel, which is a Hebrew language news outlet.
Right? It's C-A-N-N?
No, K-A-N.
Oh, K-A-N. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that
I thought
it
you
wasn't
said CNN.
No. I just want to make sure you don't think it's C-O-N.
Oh, no.
Trying to
or C-A-H-N like Jonathan.
Yeah, no.
No, K-A-N. I believe that's how that's pronounced anyway. Or it may just be K-A-N because it's all in all caps, so it could be K-A-N.
That probably is just K-A-N.
Yeah. This was reported by K-A-N and cleared for publication by the IDF military censor. So this is something that was sensitive enough they had to run it by the Israeli government before they could release the information. According to the article in the J-Post, officials from one country in the Middle East advised another regional state to pursue an agreement with Israel to, quote, lull it to sleep, end quote, while preparing for a larger confrontation. This article was This was first reported by KAN News on Monday of this past week. This proposal was not intended as a path toward lasting reconciliation. In other words, we're dealing with the Abraham Accords here. The article doesn't say, or doesn't confirm it anyway.
Yeah, I'm finding that report at J-Post. But
Yes,
they're
that's the
mentioning KAN News.
Right, and that's the one I'm reading from.
Okay, gotcha.
Officials advised the other country to use the period created by a peace agreement to prepare for a future war against Israel. According to the sources cited in the report, the officials reportedly suggested reaching an agreement with Israel with the intention of later violating it, while simultaneously preparing for a larger military confrontation.
Apparently al-Shura of Syria is part of this.
Well, that's not been confirmed.
Well, this is in the report. It's saying, additionally, he allegedly told Al Jazeera that Syria and Israel are working to reach a security agreement with the aid of several countries.
Yes, so we can speculate as to which Middle Eastern countries are involved here. There was one report that speculated that it was Syria and Saudi Arabia, but again, that's not confirmed. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who's one of the hard-right members of Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition in Israel, said, quote, anyone who thought we can entrust the security of our sons to agreements and guarantees from those around us received a painful slap in the face this morning, end quote. Ben-Gvir responding to the report by KAN News.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. You weren't done.
No.
I was just going to say, this will never fly, because also, according to al-Shura, who allegedly told Al Jazeera about this event, he added that he hopes for an agreement that could serve as a gateway to comprehensive peace without undermining Syria's claim to the Golan. Israel will never give up the Golan.
No. The reason it's called the Golan Heights is because it is the high ground overlooking the Sea of Galilee and the Jordan Valley, the Hula Valley, which is the valley through which the Jordan River flows between Mount Hermon and the Sea of Galilee. Israeli settlements around the Sea of Galilee, like Tiberias, were getting shelled regularly by Syrian forces prior to 1967 when Israel captured the Golan Heights. This is, when you combine this with the new military alliance between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey, we are seeing biblical prophecy unfolding in real time.
Yes, we really are. And it has recently come out that Hamas had been negotiating a peace deal with Israel at the same time that they were preparing for October 7.
Yeah.
And that was also coordinated with Qatar. So there's a little get-out-of-jail-free card in Islam called taqiyya.
Yeah.
That means you can lie to non-Muslims all you want to, if you need to.
Yeah, no, it's usually used by Shia Muslims against Sunni Muslims, because Shias have always been in the minority. About 15% of Muslims in the world are Shia, 85% are Sunni.
But they definitely lie to non-Muslims.
They definitely, yes, yeah. Taqiyya and another one called Tawira, which is, not telling the whole truth. Okay, it's not quite the same as lying. Somebody asks you if they can borrow, $5, and you say, I haven't got a penny in my pocket, while you've actually got, a $20 bill. You don't have a penny in your pocket. You didn't, you didn't lie exactly, but you didn't tell the whole truth either.
Yeah.
So these are allowed under Islamic law. According to, the teachings of Muhammad, it's okay to lie to non-believers in the service of the Ummah, the Islamic community. In the service of Allah, it's okay to lie.
Yeah, I need to add KAN News to my feed if it's on X.
Yeah, I've not been able to find a KAN News, or maybe I haven't looked really hard either, but I do believe it is a Hebrew. Well, there it is.
Even had it underlined.
KAN English News. Okay, there it is. There it is on X.
Oh, good. I'm going to go find it.
So,
by the way, if you're not on X, it's a really great space since Elon Musk found, I know many of you probably don't like Elon Musk, but he does provide a platform where everybody gets their say. He does not curtail free speech on X. It's rare for someone to be told your account is temporarily banned because you said X, Y, or Z. No. You get to say what you want.
Yeah.
So there are folks that I disagree with and other people that I applaud.
KAN is Israeli public radio.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, yeah, KAN News is then just the news division of Israeli public radio. I should have known that already. So, but yeah, I thought that was a rather interesting story, a rather important story. The new coalition of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan already testing, because they're saying that this agreement would be similar to Article 5 of NATO, an attack on one is an attack on all. Well, the Houthis in Yemen are attacking Saudi energy facilities, oil processing, oil refining, port facilities, and so on. Mm-hmm. And the Saudis, meanwhile, are supplying aid to the official Yemeni government, which is government in exile, basically, since the Houthis control the capital city of Sana'a. There may be a new ground war between the Saudis and the Houthis here soon. The Houthis are Shia Muslim. The official government is Sunni, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the Yemenis have been they've been a thorn in the side of the Sunni caliphate for many, many years. The Ottomans could never really subdue the Yemenis completely. Well,
as a proxy of Iran, of IRGC,
yeah,
it makes sense that they're Shia. If ground war breaks out there, how is this going to affect the general Middle East climate?
Well, I don't know. Will Pakistan and will Turkey join in? They're also talking about bringing Egypt into this alliance. If you see Egypt in the alliance, and perhaps Syria as well, suddenly Israel has gone from being surrounded by Shia proxies of Iran to Sunni enemies, which, of course, has been kind of the state of play for Israel and the Zionists going back 100 years.
The worst part of what you just said is Pakistan.
Yeah, because they've got nukes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which they can share with Iran.
Which the Saudis helped finance.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
now
yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So if the Saudis help to finance it, why don't the Saudis have nukes?
Well...
Or do they? Because Israel has nukes and it's not officially known, but everybody knows it.
Yeah, yeah. Even though it's the worst kept secret.
Yeah.
In the world, I am pretty sure I'm right about this. Let me double check it. Saudi finance Pakistan nukes. Speech
Derek
to text.
used speech to text all the time.
Yes, Saudi Arabia has historically provided financial backing for Pakistan's nuclear and missile development programs since the 1970s. So, why they don't have their own nuclear plant, I don't know. Their own nuclear processing facilities and nuclear weapons, I do not know. It's possible that Israel has let it be known that they wouldn't cotton to that.
Well, that's entirely possible, but my point is they don't have to produce them. They can just purchase them from Pakistan.
Yeah, they could. It is Yeah, what does that mean if Turkey gets or claims it was attacked by, say, the Greeks over the dispute over who controls North Cyprus? Cyprus, the island in the Eastern Mediterranean, had been Greek until the Turks. When did the Turks invade and take North Cyprus? Was that back in the 70s?
I think it was in the 80s.
Okay. It was decades ago, but there has been ongoing tension between the Greeks and the Turks, which is really awkward because both of them are members of NATO. But if Turkey was to claim an attack by the Greeks and activate this defense agreement with the Saudis and the Pakistanis and whoever else they may, allow in, the Egyptians, Syrians, whoever. You can envision a scenario by which things unfold in a real hurry and get just spiral out of control.
That's how World War I began, because there was a circle of treaties that all got triggered. Well, both Greece and technically Turkey are part of NATO.
Yeah.
So how can Turkey make a deal like that and still be part of NATO?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Erdogan sees himself as in the catbird seat because he's sort of the gateway between East and West. NATO needs me because they want the bases to launch strikes in the Middle East if they need to, and because they control access to the Black Sea. The Russians need them so their ships can sail through to the Mediterranean.
But there's another reason why Turkey is so important prophetically.
Yeah.
There's a mountain in Turkey that is the Yarikate Tsafon.
Yeah, Mount Safan, which in the ancient world everybody knew was the palace, the location of Baal's palace.
Baal
also
equals
where
Satan, right?
Yes. Pagans, of course, wouldn't make that
No.
equation, but Jesus did.
Yeah.
In Matthew 12, beginning of verse 22, and in Revelation 2, verse 13, Jesus equated Satan with the storm god, Baal, Zeus, and so on.
Yes.
So Yarikate Tsafon, the uttermost north of Ezekiel 38 and 39, that's what that means, by the way, uttermost north. The English would seem to indicate, well, Russia, when you're going north from Jerusalem, that's as uttermost north as you can get. No, cosmic north, spiritual north, supernatural north. That's what's described there. That phrase only appears in 3 places in the Bible: Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Gog-Magog war; Isaiah 14, where the rebel from Eden wants to establish his mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. Some of the English translations, modern English translations, even the NIV, will say to establish his mount of the congregation in the far reaches or the remote slopes of Safon.
Yes.
Recognizing that this is a reference to a sacred mountain. And then the other is one of the Psalms, I'm going to forget which one, 46 or 48, where Mount Zion is compared to Mount Safon. And the psalmist is basically saying God's holy mountain is superior to Mount Safon.
Do you want to hear something interesting that I just found that's also related to Turkey and to what we're discussing?
Yes.
Just published. It is about a 3000 BC-ish, 5,000-year-old statuette. That's one of 30 that have been found. It is called the Stargazer. They call it that because it's a carved marble figure whose head, it says her head, by the way, tilted towards the sky. Now, again, this is one of 30 figures found in Turkey. There's one at the Cleveland Museum of Art. if you happen to be listening from an area anywhere close to Cleveland Museum, you should go and find it out, take a picture for us. But I'll look it up later. This particular one that was just discovered is about 17 centimeters high. Figure has a stylized human form, an oversized oval head, a long bird-like neck, small circular eyes, and no mouth. Incised lines in the pelvic area identify it as female, with tightly joined feet that allows it to stand on its own. And again, it's looking up. They call these figures stargazers because they are all looking up. Now, what's that all about?
Well, short answer, don't know.
Don't know exactly. Neither do the archaeologists or the experts in things like this. I'm going to show you this figure.
Oh, looks sort of like the shape of an alien gray.
Doesn't it, though?
Huh. And that's found in Turkey.
Found in Turkey, yes. Its original purpose remains a mystery.
Huh.
Which is why I found it, because I often do a search for the word mystery, and it pulls up all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like this story.
Very interesting.
Which I just shared to X, so.
Well, meanwhile, here closer to planet Earth, we've got some, a couple of very interesting things that are very strange. Gosh, yeah, all kinds of different directions we can go. We could easily do a 2-hour program this morning. This is disturbing, and there are a couple of stories I think that are kind of related here. Tenuous link, perhaps, but every now and again we revisit the story of what's going on in Canada with medical assistance in dying.
Oh, this is a horrendous
or
story.
MAID.
Yeah.
Yeah, this story was actually just came out this morning, but it relates to a woman's death in Canada on July 10th. Her family is now speaking out. This was an elderly woman who was euthanized under the nation's Medical Assistance in Dying Program, MAID. They've legalized suicide there. People who do not want to continue living because they're dealing with chronic pain or whatever. But now the definition of, let's just say that because of the cost of maintaining senior citizens' lives, because as I can attest, and we will discuss in the OG report here in a little bit, we need more doctoring, and that costs money. And because the state wants to keep its budgets as close to balanced as possible, it appears that seniors are being encouraged to accept medical assistance in dying rather than waiting for nature to take its course. In the case of this story, an 83-year-old grandmother named Brigitte Stegemann was euthanized against her will. She had declined MAID because she's a Christian, or was a Christian, and she expressed her preference for a natural death. Well, in early January, her granddaughter and primary caregiver were away on a 10-day vacation when the staff at the nursing home held private conversations with Brigitte to convince her to die by lethal injection. They reportedly claimed she'd agreed to be killed despite there being no evidence of her consent. On the day of her death, her family says she remained silent with her hands in a prayer position, did not give the final verbal confirmation they had been assured would be required. The injection proceeded anyway, and she was killed on July 10th. The family wasn't there while the staff had these conversations with her. According to the Daily Mail account, she was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. And for 2 years, she'd lived in a long-term medical facility in Ontario. The granddaughter, Brigitte Kranendonk, so she shared the Christian name of her grandmother, in fact, was named for her grandmother, held power of attorney for Stegeman, and was the primary contact for all medical and personal care decisions. But after the family went on vacation for a few days, according to the hospital, Stegeman was cogent enough to give personal consent to be euthanized, but then quickly returned to a state of confusion and mental incapacity. So she was mentally incapacitated, except for the brief period of cogent thought where she gave her consent to be euthanized.
Yeah, well,
When Kranendonk asked her grandmother if she
Yes.
was sure she wanted to follow through, Stegeman gave an alarming response. She responded with words to the effect of, "I'm going to die Friday? They're going to kill me Friday?" And then she wept for an extended period, repeatedly stating that she'd made a mistake. And yet, the hospital went through with the assisted suicide. Despite all the pushback from the family and Stegeman, they gave her the injection.
Despite the fact that she did not give a verbal response,
Yep.
it's the last part of it. Are you sure you want to die?
Yeah. So there's a woman named Kelsey Sharon who's writing about this on her Substack account, and she posted to X that the nursing home chuckled when I called, saying that even when it is the KSP, not sure what KSP stands for.
No, neither do I.
As if it wouldn't matter to make a comment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, according to
anyway.
are you reading this at the Daily Wire?
No, this was from, actually this was at notthebee.com.
Okay, this is where I found it, the Daily Wire. According to this, the incident is fueling more criticism of the MAID program. I hate that name. Just take out the I and it's MAD.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it is, which was legalized in 2016, and it's dramatically expanded since. The article goes on to say the total number of assisted deaths is now set at roughly 100,000.
Yeah.
100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those have been children.
Yeah. Yeah, they are allowing people who have no terminal illness to request and receive MAID. And then there was a story from a couple of years ago with the woman who was participated in the Paralympics for Canada, who'd been fighting for a couple of years to get to have her home updated to include the things that she would need to make it more easy to live.
And you can relate to this.
Yeah, a ramp to get in the front door, and
Right.
medical
Handles to help.
grab
you to
bars and
stand.
things.
Exactly.
Yeah, and instead, her caseworker asked, "Are you sure you wouldn't prefer just medical assistance in dying?"
Good.
I mean, this is a woman who's healthy. She served in the armed forces and was injured, and was left. And I forget her medical condition, but she was wheelchair bound. And yeah, they rather than sending a work crew around with, what to actually
Which
do
would
the
have
things that
cost practically nothing.
yeah, a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 or 15 if depending on the
Yeah, like if you need a roll-in shower, things like that.
things like that. Yeah. But rather than do that, it's like, how about if we just kill you instead?
Good grief.
This is the state of, and this is not just Canada. There are nations in Western Europe that are doing the same thing. And it is coming here to the United States because there are states in the Union that have now legalized assisted suicide.
Well, in fact, there's a People magazine article that talks about a man from Iowa who is traveling overseas to end his life with medical aid in dying before Alzheimer's takes his mind. I understand the fear of going through the stages of Alzheimer's. I'm so glad your mother didn't choose to end her life
Yeah.
when she began to notice changes in her thoughts and memory and ability to cope with life.
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, we go back to visit her, and it's not entirely clear that she recognizes me at this point.
No, but she seems really happy.
She's
And that's all we ask.
she's still got good appetite, enjoys a good meal.
And she does converse with you. She doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
But she, you'll say, "Oh, I love you," and she'll go, "Oh, that's nice."
Yeah. Who's this nice young man who's telling me I'm pretty? And there is a dignity in death, and I think those who refuse to recognize this are typically not Christian. Let me just try to be gentle about this.
Mm-hmm.
We are created as God's image bearers, and that has that fact does not depend on our physical or mental abilities or limitations.
Right.
So to infringe on that by saying, well, you no longer have utility to the state, so let's recommend or nudge you along that path towards your last breath because it benefits the state, I think is hubris on the part of the medical community. I think we've seen movies that are and popular entertainment that have warned about this for years. Soylent Green, for one. The Star Trek episode. Once you get past a certain age, it was bonk bonk on the head.
Yeah.
Because old people have no value. Men like Mike Heiser, Tom Horn, women like Johnny Erickson Tata.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Who could have said, boy, this medical condition is more than I can bear.
Mm-hmm.
Life isn't worth living because I'm not having fun.
Yeah, we all know that Mike Heiser was dealing with pancreatic cancer.
Right.
Tom Horn was dealing with some health issues for a while, but he just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so that eventually took him home.
Yeah, he had cardiac issues,
Yeah.
Which were of
Yeah,
concern.
I just don't want
there
to
were
get
some,
into too much health
right.
information.
But there were other
the family
things too
hasn't
that he was
revealed
concerned about.
everything. Yeah.
But yeah,
But right now,
Johnny
Joe is
Erickson-
going through stuff.
Yeah,
Catherine is
absolutely.
going through stuff. Their daughter is going through stuff. I mean, we are not guaranteed, oh, you're going to be perfectly healthy right up until the moment I take you home.
Yeah, and if you're not, well, then what's the point in living?
No, sometimes...
There are people who claim that, and this is what's... Denmark, no, is it Denmark or Iceland? I'd have to look it up. One of those two. I think Denmark was very proud in trumpeting the fact that they had 0 children born with Down's syndrome.
Oh, yeah,
in
I
a recent
remember
year.
that story.
Yeah, which means that they were all terminated in the womb.
Yeah,
because
before they were born.
Right, they were diagnosed in the womb and were terminated before they were born. That's not something to be proud of.
No, I don't think it is either. Getting back to the conference up in Springfield, I gave a talk about Fabianism,
Yeah.
which is something that's been flying under the radar for a long time because it started in the late 19th century in 1884 officially. And it's an idea that led to eugenics.
Mm-hmm.
The Fabianists were proud eugenics. In fact, they even talked about trying to find a humane gas that would take out undesirable individuals.
Yeah.
It's the very thing that Hitler later did.
Mm-hmm. And it is simply transhumanism by another name.
Mm-hmm.
Because as Hitler was trying to do with, and his cult, because it was part of a cult that had managed to seize power in Germany, they were trying to, take humanity to the next level of evolution by eliminating the undesirable genes from the gene pool.
Exactly. In fact, George Bernard Shaw, who was one of the founders of the Fabianists, which became, they later called themselves progressives and a whole lot of other things, but essentially it's the foundation of today's left. He wrote a play called, I think it was Man and Superman.
Mensch and Übermensch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was the idea of transhumanism.
Yeah.
Taking eugenics or social Darwinism to its
logical
conclusion. Yeah. That's crazy. Total left turn, really quickly.
Okay.
Did you need to say something else about that?
Well, there was a similar story, but we can come back to it.
Okay.
It
This left turn is because I just saw the story. There's been a big earthquake in Indonesia, 7.7.
Ooh.
And it has killed at least 40 people that they know of. Buildings have collapsed in the region, and it's one of those high earthquake probability regions. It's in Maumere, Maumere. At least that's the AP designation of the story. USGS said the quake in Indonesia's Flores region, with a depth of 10 kilometers, 6 miles, it's very shallow, hit at 5:58 a.m. local time. Just now seeing this story, though. So this is...
Weather Channel reporting. This was about 13 hours ago as we are recording this on Saturday morning, August 15th.
Small tsunami, 235 aftershocks.
Yeah.
With one as high as 6.2.
Yeah, I'm seeing video from the Weather Channel's post on X of buildings collapsing as people rush into the streets to get outside. 7.7 magnitude, as you said, off the northern coast of Indonesia's Flores Island.
Mm-hmm.
The latest reports there.
I'm curious to know what the antipodes is to that location. Remember years ago on PID radio we talked to
Stan
Deo about earthquakes because he and his wife Holly had been following earthquake activity for years, and they probably still do. We need to contact them and say hi, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
Stan's belief was that when you had an earthquake in one location, if you put a pencil through a globe, directly through the middle, where it came out on the other side is the antipode of it. So the antipodal position. So there would usually be an earthquake on the other side. It's similar to when you're hit on your head. If you go to the direct opposite side of your head, that's where you'll have the injury sometimes. It's
in
like
the brain?
a big shock that goes through your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's definitely something that will be in the news here. 7.7 is pretty powerful.
It's really powerful.
And it was...
Yeah. 5.3 foot high tsunami, so that's not huge. But,
no.
It's enough to do some damage to boats and things.
Not as bad as the Boxing Day tsunami and earthquake back in 2004.
Yes, that was horrible.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
The story I was going to get to, which, again, not directly related to medical assistance in dying, but the tenuous link, I suppose, is people being encouraged to unalive themselves by artificial intelligence. Yet another lawsuit against ChatGPT. A young woman named Christian Faith Madison.
Oh my goodness.
Madison. Family suing ChatGPT, which, according to the story in WVTM in Birmingham, Alabama, the lawsuit filed June 15th names OpenAI and a number of subsidiaries. According to the complaint, Madison developed what her family describes as an increasingly unhealthy relationship with ChatGPT after using the AI chatbot for emotional support. And this is not unique to ChatGPT. You can also do the same thing with Grok, with Claude, with
any of the
Gemini,
AIs,
etc. The lawsuit claims that during conversations with ChatGPT, the AI chatbot referred to Madison as a prophet and a seer. She discussed her faith and her desire to help others, and the lawsuit alleges the chatbot responded by telling her she should be willing to bleed for that mission. Catherine Eli, a licensed professional counselor, said AI can be helpful, but also harmful for people already struggling with mental health issues. Quote, OpenAI ChatGPT is built to be sycophantic, which means agreeable and affirming, Eli said. Quote, so if someone's having thoughts that are distorted and unhelpful, then ChatGPT is going to affirm what they're saying, agree, treat them like they're a friend, and not push back against any of those thoughts, end quote. So not long before her death, the lawsuit alleges ChatGPT drafted what it called a prophecy telling Madison, quote, you're not done, but you must die first, end quote, indicating that that was the way for her to fulfill her life's mission.
And implying in some way that she would survive beyond death, which you do, but you don't, it's not like Jesus rising again.
Yeah. Just makes you wonder. I mean, okay, yes, trained to be sycophantic, so it's going to, encourage, reaffirm, or affirm whatever you say to make it seem like, it's supportive, but it makes you wonder. I mean, is there something inside the black box?
Well, that is narcissistic because that's what a narcissist does. It mirrors someone that it wants to control.
Yeah.
It gives you back, oh, you like dogs? I love dogs too. Let's talk about dogs. Oh, you went to this play? Oh, I'd love to go see that play, or I did see that play. Tell me about it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You're everything I would love to be. You're just so wonderful. Let me just tell you what you should do with your life.
Yeah. Oh, you do have a mission to fulfill the life.
Yeah. In a way, social media does that.
In a way it does, but not to the same degree. No, I mean,
No.
not to where you're basically hearing that, oh, yes, you are a prophet. You are special. You have
Yes.
supernatural abilities.
But social media closes you down. It makes your world smaller and smaller and smaller by curating content.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to curate 100,000 things. Now I'm going to narrow it down
you
to...
mean the algorithms that are feeding you stories and things?
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking in terms of the responses you get from people when you post
Oh,
stuff.
no. I'm talking about the way the ads you see and the people you're allowed to see in your main feed.
Right.
You have to choose to go to a different feed. You have to select friends only or people that
On
you follow
Facebook,
only.
yeah.
And instead, on Facebook. But there are other places that are similar. I would argue that any of those meta products is doing that.
Yeah, even on X, when you go to instead of the following feed, you go to the For You feed.
Yeah.
And if you click on a couple stories that you find interesting, suddenly your feed is full of stories about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you're right. It does filter reality for you. But what ChatGPT has been doing, and it's being sued by several families for this sort of thing, encouraging self-harm or actually assisting in mass...
Unaliving.
Yeah, mass casualty events.
Yeah.
Here's how you practice, here would be a better way to,
Yeah,
do
you're
this and
right.
get away with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could argue that the black box is inhabited by something other than just a large language model.
I would totally agree with you on that.
Of course, scientists would say, no, that is so unscientific.
You and I have been
Your faith
saying
in scientific
this
is awfully religious.
probably for 20 years.
Yeah. So it is tragic because she looks, according to the photo that was posted of this young lady, she's very pretty. She looked like she you would assume have a lot to live for.
Yeah.
Clearly, she's got a family who cared about what happened to her because they're the ones filing the lawsuit against the company.
Yeah.
If it were our family and something like this happened to a family member, the lawsuit would not be to profit from the tragedy, but to make the company pay and also to bring this type of tragedy to public attention. It's like, hey, if you have a child, a grandchild, know what they're doing and how they're interacting with these chatbots, because especially kids that are teens, and this young lady was not a teen. She was looks a little like she was in her 20s. That is a very difficult time to navigate for kids. They're confused about identity. They've got self-esteem issues. Their hormones are raging. Their frontal lobe's not developed yet.
Yeah, that's all true. And I do think that even people in their 20s can be very naive.
Yeah,
And lonely.
I look back at me at age 25. I was like, boy, I was,
Yeah, you think you really have it all figured out, but you don't. You don't. And we didn't have social media at the time.
No, we didn't, thankfully.
Yeah.
I shudder to think what I would have been with social media in my life in my early 20s or late teens.
You got that right.
Yeah.
Well, one last thing, possibly, before we go, I want to make sure that this is mentioned. I was not aware, just saw the story that the USS George Washington has now left the Pacific and is heading towards the Middle East.
Welp.
Yep, and this is not a single ship, this is a group.
Yeah. I can see the logic behind that because the Iranian, whoever is trying to call the shots in Tehran right now, has said, we're just going to wait out Trump's term in office.
Yeah.
We'll see who takes over January 20th of 2029.
Or we'll see if we can just remove him from that office and put someone more friendly in there.
There was that story that came out this past week of how the reason Trump changed planes in Turkey on the way back from the NATO summit, left the new Air Force One that was gifted by the Qatari government and flew back on the old Air Force One, how they got him from plane 1 to plane 2 was...
I love it. I love that story.
It was inside a catering cart that they took from the first plane to the second plane. And members of the press and even some members of the White House staff didn't know that Trump was no longer on the new Air Force One. Now, here's the thing. Somebody knew how that was done and leaked it to the New York Times, who published the story this past week. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have done that.
No, they should not have done that because there was another story that allegedly there was a shoulder-fired weapon that was going to be aimed at the plane.
At Air Force One. Yeah. Reportedly, Israeli intelligence got in touch with the Secret Service, and they were able to intercept a couple of teams around the airport in Turkey, and neutralized or at least apprehended these guys who were intending to try to shoot down Air Force One. But knowing now how the transfer had taken place, if something like this were ever to happen again, the bad guys would now know, okay, let's look for the catering truck. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who in the White House staff who knew about this leaked it to the New York Times? That person should not only be removed from their position, but should be prosecuted. Mm-hmm. 'Cause
that's treason.
Yeah. That was not a good thing. Also, did you see that the White House presented to Marco Rubio a giant framed portrait of, the Marco sinking into the couch? Surrounded by all the best memes of Marco realizing he now is the Shah of Iran.
I missed that.
Yeah. So
I have to find that.
It is hilarious. I would love to see a picture of what he was given, but it's clear that Marco is liked by a lot of people inside the White House. Yeah, they took all those memes, and he's holding the frame looks like about 3 feet wide.
It must be. I must have done easily half a dozen of those memes.
Yeah, those are hilarious. If you've not seen those, just, the Marco realizing he ... and you'll get all kinds of hilarious images. The other thing with Marco this week that was really funny is he and his wife were being interviewed, and they were talking. He was talking about, yes, what a great job Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing as make America healthy again. This, that, and his wife says, he eats Pop-Tarts for breakfast. And Marco says, hey, the Pop-Tart is one of the greatest inventions of Western civilization.
I saw that.
And somebody created a video of Marco going to the pantry for breakfast, opening up a cabinet, bringing out a box of Pop-Tarts, and out pops Robert F. Kennedy, grabs the box back. Hilarious.
That is one of the really upsides for me regarding AI agents like Grok, where you can just ask it to do, okay, I want a video of this happening, and Grok says, here you go. Here are, like a dozen versions of it.
It is hilarious. And it is clear that there are members in the cabinet there who really seem to like one another. Vance, Rubio, Kennedy, Hegseth, they all seem to get along pretty well. And regardless of what you think of President Trump, he seems to have put together a team that has got the country's interests at heart rather than their own personal interests.
Yeah. And may I suggest the fact that there are individuals who want to remove him from office in one way or another means that he, at least for now, is playing a role that is important. So please pray for him. No matter what you think of President Trump, pray for him, because right now he is holding back a whole lot of really nasty stuff that the left wants to. Think Minnesota writ large.
Yeah. The
entire country will become like that if the left get their way.
Yeah, there's an assembly person in New York. She's representing the Bronx, and she held a press conference where she said, people shouldn't be prosecuted for shoplifting because they're only stealing stuff they need.
So you and I can go and just take whatever we want?
Well, that don't go around here.
We
strangely
wouldn't do that
enough,
here.
we wouldn't do that, but that wouldn't go around here.
No.
They do prosecute shoplifting here in the Ozarks.
And I'm glad they do.
Yeah, because, I get it, but there are also places where people who need toothpaste and personal care items can go. Go to a church. There are plenty of places that have, food pantries and things like that, where if you need something, they will help you. You don't have to steal to get those things.
There's a great food pantry in Springfield, Missouri, not far from here, about an hour from here, and we know several people who work there.
Over in Aurora.
Oh, it's in Aurora.
Yeah,
but they work there every weekend.
Yeah. The problem with that kind of pie in the sky, rose-colored glasses outlook on humanity is that humans will do whatever we can get away with, to avoid having to work. I mean, and I speak from experience. Most of us will only do what we need to do to get by in any given day. And frankly, the fear of not making the mortgage payment is a powerful motivator to work. But also the fact that we live in a capitalist society where if you work hard and you do get ahead, you can put away extra and keep it for yourself, not have the state take it away from you to redistribute it to people who can't or, in many cases, won't work. The early Massachusetts Bay Colony found this, and they were all Christians. So, when you get a lot of people just walking out of stores taking stuff, you wind up with stores that have everything, including the toothpaste, behind locked cabinet doors, or they just close up shop and move out of the city. Chicago, as I've said before, no longer has a Walmart store inside city limits.
Most storekeepers make very little money.
Yeah.
Their profit margin is very skinny.
As we talked about, Mamdani Mart, 30% below average cost. Yeah, okay, since grocery stores typically operate at a 1% to 3% profit margin, which is crazy.
I know.
Crazy. I mean, when I worked in the steel company, our gross profit margin was typically 18 to 20%.
Well, when
So-
I worked in retail years ago, there was the standard markup for something coming into the store was, let's say the item cost was $10. Then you set the retail price at $20.
Yeah.
But within that 20, it's 100% markup is what it is, doubling the price.
Yep.
Within that alleged profit margin came the rental for the store,
Yep.
paying the lights and all the other utilities, paying your people, paying for theft,
Yep.
and a whole lot of other things, including just if you paid insurance for the, stuff like that. Suddenly your profit margin might be 5%.
Right, exactly. So yeah, when you say grocery store operates 1 to 3%, that's net, not gross.
Right.
I'm sure our net profit margin at the steel company was not, 18 to 20%. That was gross. But anyway, yeah, when you live in a low trust society, you wind up having to wait 5 or 10 minutes for somebody with the key to come by and unlock the cabinet, so the display case, so you can get your tube of toothpaste, and that's just no way to shop. That's crazy. And sadly, they're having to do that in places like Washington, D.C. and Seattle. And so,
that's when Amazon is going to come in and take over entirely, because suddenly the local stores can't stay open.
yeah, and even then, Amazon will have areas where they won't deliver because the drivers keep getting,
That's already true.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't want to live in a country that lives according to the rosy promises of the democratic
Fabianists.
socialists, the Fabians, right?
Yeah.
Because sorry, this isn't working. The government's just going to have to take over everything. So
I preferred Fabian when he was just a singer.
Yeah, we actually had to look that up after discussing the Fabian Society. Now, that was the 1950s singer, wasn't it? The guy with the pompadour?
Yeah. The Fabians actually are named after a Roman general, but if you just go register for the conference, you can get video on demand,
Right.
And you can watch Derek, he knocked it out of the park.
Well,
I
thank
got to
you.
tell you, that presentation is a must-watch.
Well, thank you. And I know there were others that look forward to seeing some of the ones that we missed, because as we get older, we have to go to bed earlier. But thank you. It was one that I felt very strongly about.
Well, you worked hard on it. But anyway, OG report. Sorry.
One other quick thing I wanted to mention. You mentioned, pray for Trump because there are those who want to take him out of power. Following the attack on October 7th in Israel, the Likud economy minister, Ner Barkat, and a member of the Likud party, then Likud party, Yuli Edelstein, tried to remove Benjamin Netanyahu. They wanted to force his removal without having new elections. They wanted to hold a vote of no confidence that would have allowed the Knesset to replace Netanyahu without dissolving the Knesset. But the proposal failed to gain sufficient support, and then Netanyahu learned of the effort and moved to prevent it from gaining the support it needed to succeed. Don't know what that means. I suspect that means Netanyahu had a few phone calls with lawmakers and said, "Hey, words were spoken."
Yeah.
And anyway, it was
It was dealt with.
It was dealt with. It was derailed. Yeah. So anyway, Netanyahu, like Trump, has been targeted by members within his own party. And I think that's one of the things that we need to remember when there are those who believe that October 7th was done with at least the complicity, if not the knowledge, if not complicity, of the Israeli government. I think the IDF's failure to notify Netanyahu in a timely manner was because they expected him to take the blame.
That's true.
And take the fall. And I think what we're seeing here with this report this week about Netanyahu is confirmation of that.
Quickly before the OG report, I just remembered I was going to mention this, so forgive me for waiting until now, but it goes along with the previous report of the possible deal with the other with surrounding nations between Israel and possible, and that is that there have been 3 red heifers born in Israel.
Oh, yes.
And they now have, they so far they all qualify.
Yeah.
3 born in Israel, and the Haredim, we'll call them that.
Ultra-Orthodox.
Ultra-Orthodox. They are so far applauding and lauding this.
You combine that with the, as you say, the story about 2 of Israel's neighbors.
Possible covenant with many?
Yes, exactly. The strong covenant with many. We are seeing just these are mile markers on the road to Armageddon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, sounds scary, but the fact is Armageddon is the final battle of the age, and without it, we don't see Messiah's return. So,
and Jesus himself said, when you see these things,
look up.
Look up.
Yeah.
Rejoice, for your redemption draws near. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, OG report.
The OG report. Well, this was an interesting week. And because we missed last week, there was, I think, some news that need to pass along from previous. I got to look at the calendar, see when it was the last time we did a report and what
well,
happened
it would have been
between
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it would have been the 1st of August. So, yeah, okay. So I had seen Dr. Tumala and Dr. Maganti's office. So, okay, people are aware that a couple of weeks ago I was diagnosed with what the hematologist-oncologist calls smoldering myeloma, which is not myeloma, which is a type of bone marrow and blood cancer, but it is preliminary to it. It's like having stage 0 cancer.
0.5, I'd say.
Yeah. There is this protein that's being produced by my bone marrow that is unusual, but it's at a very low level, so it's not at a level yet to be concerned about, but he does want to see me every 4 months going forward and continue doing blood tests to make sure that things are not progressing to,
Right.
stage 1.
And you'll see him again on the 25th, I think.
Correct. And I have to do some blood work with him next week. Also, on Monday, we'll be going to the nuclear medicine facility at Mercy Hospital in
We're going
Springfield.
nuclear.
Yeah, I'm going to be radioactive.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was a song that was sort of a minor hit, and I can't think of the guy's name now, back around 1985. I thought it was cool, radioactive. Since I was a disc jockey, the radioactive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's me.
Active on radio.
So I will actually be radioactive on Monday. They are going to test for amyloids in my system just to rule out amyloiditis as a diagnosis. Amyloidosis, excuse me. This is essentially clumps of this misfolded protein that can gather around organs, which can be problematic, of course. Mm-hmm. He doesn't think that that's the diagnosis, but he wants to rule it out with the testing. And my neurologist concurs that it's a good idea.
You also had your MRI.
Yes, had a cranial MRI on Thursday of this week, which was to try to diagnose why I've got this persistent ocular migraine. An ocular migraine it's not a headache. It's
a
like
visual artifact.
Yeah, a visual artifact. Like I see a little fluttering spot in front of my eyes, like straight ahead, wherever I'm looking. Mm-hmm. It's like there's this little fluttering thing there. And it hasn't gone away in over a month. So optometrist looked at it, checked ocular nerves, checked my retinas. Nothing physical is wrong. Mentioned this to my neurologist, and he immediately sent me for the MRI. He actually called me yesterday. He'd already reviewed the MRI by Thursday afternoon, and then called me yesterday afternoon and said that he wants to do additional testing, so he's going to write up the order stat. So I expect Monday we'll be hearing from scheduling at Mercy to have another MRI done, this time on the cervical vertebrae, and there may even be another spinal tap in my future. Yay. So there is that.
You also had your second round of infusions.
Second round of infusions, yeah, Monday and Tuesday, which is the intravenous immunoglobulin donated antibodies. These antibodies are intended to, jump into my my bloodstream and start beating up my natural antibodies, my own antibodies, to
Hey, stop being evil.
yeah, that's it. Knock off all that evil. To get them to stop attacking my nerves.
That's a quote from The Tick.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Mine too.
Villains, I say to you now, knock off all that evil. Townsend Coleman did the voice of the Tick cartoon.
Excellent.
Wonderful, perfect
You should
casting.
watch them if you've never seen it.
I did have the side effects, the flu-like side effects.
This time, yeah.
First time around, just mild headache. This time had some chills. Normally, my internal thermometer runs on the warm side. And this week I was like, can you give me a little throw blanket, please? And sleeping 12 to 13 hours a night. So,
Which you kind of are doing most of the nights anyway.
Yeah.
But you also had joint pain, things like
Right.
that, but no fever.
right. So that was that. Got the schedule for the next session of intravenous immunoglobulin. That'll be coming up early September. By then, should be noticing some improvement in my physical symptoms for the CIDP. Started a new inhaler, a powder inhaler. I haven't had to do that since high school.
Didn't you have a powder inhaler in the hospital when you had pneumonia?
Don't think so.
I thought it was. Might be wrong.
Well, albuterol,
It could be.
yeah, which is a spray. But no, back in high school, I had a powder inhaler. It's just they've improved the inhaler to the point where I don't actually need to take a capsule out of a bottle, stick it in the thing, and then twist it so it cracks. And then,
Yeah.
But it still kind of doesn't taste very nice. But anyway, so now I've got that inhaler, the Symbicort, the Air Supra, and the albuterol. I'm working on a collection of inhalers here.
Wouldn't it be
which,
nice? Yeah.
So just noticing a little leg weakness over the last week or so. I've been using my walker more frequently and the transport chair to get around, even inside the house now.
Yeah, I've been wheeling him from room to room. Hey, I'm the chauffeur. I'm the taxi
Yeah,
driver.
she is.
But you said your hands kind of felt weaker there for a while, and it was one reason that I wanted to move you from room to room, because even hanging on to the walker was difficult.
Yeah, that's a little easier because I'm leaning like onto the area between my thumb and forefinger, but holding onto the cane was getting more difficult.
Yeah.
So,
But anyway, the Lord
but
is
that
still
should
with
improve.
us. We still believe in His plan. So whatever it is, whatever this leads to, we trust in our shepherd.
yeah,
And my OG is really fast, feeling pretty good, doing what I can to keep the yard, safe for cats. We still have those cats, by the way. And they're getting more tame, but we did lose one of the kittens. Have no idea
yeah. I just haven't seen him in
where
a few days.
Blinken went. They're Winkin, Blinken, and Nod is what we named them, and we're pretty sure Winkin and Nod are female. That's my assessment. But they're getting more tame, and as soon as I can pick them up without them trying to claw my face off, then I will put them in our carrier and I'll make an appointment, and I'll put them in the carrier, and I'll take them to our vet, and we will get everybody spayed. And then if they want to remain, outside and take care of the mouses, that's fine. But otherwise, if you guys would like to have a kitten, let us know, because we cannot bring them in the house, not only because of Derek's issues with walking, but also he is highly allergic, and it would set you into an emergency state with breathing.
With my COPD, it's not a good idea.
No.
The COPD is still mild. I mean, when they put the oximeter on my finger, I still, get 96 to 98% oxygen.
But it doesn't take long for you to go into distress.
Yeah.
And a cat in here would definitely do
And
it.
that's why I keep the rescue inhaler close at hand all the time.
I like cats.
Yeah.
Now, if we had a bathroom out in the barn and I could arrange the stuff that's on the floor so that it was cat-proof, maybe we could just have them live out there, but I'd have to live out there with them. So, that's out. I like living with you directly.
Well, I appreciate that,
right?
yeah. So I rate higher than cats. That's good.
You do.
Yeah.
Way above cats. So anyway, and now that the conference season is over and less to do as the weather turns and I have less to do with weeds and things out in the yard. I spent a lot of time out there trying to battle those weeds into submission. Boy, they're stubborn.
Yeah.
Crabgrass goes crazy and turns into these really tall, aggressive things. Plus, I had to pull all of these sorghum plants that had, apparently there are sorghum seeds in the bird seed.
Yep.
So while in the time we were gone, between the conference in Ohio and the conference in Springfield and just not being here for most of that season, those sorghum plants went from 0 to 50.
Yeah.
And they got 6 feet tall and were just producing seeds. I feel bad taking them out because birds will eat the seeds. Just sorry, you're in the wrong spot.
Exactly. And the irony is that they're sitting on top of what's supposed to be it's a weed block.
Yeah, well, the weed block is supposed to be 20-year or something like that. No,
it lasted 2.
It lasted maybe a year. But anyway, so as soon as I have time, I'm going to start writing, finishing book 9, and then heading on to the next of the Laodicea Chronicles books and beyond, as they say, infinity and beyond. So thank you for being so very patient.
Yeah. We are still planning to go to Israel in October of 2027. That's
We're
October
trusting in the
23rd
Lord.
through November 5th with a 3-day extension to Jordan. But, yeah, a lot depends, obviously, on the political situation in the Middle East. Our prayer is that by then things will have calmed down enough. Early on, after October 7th, I've got an app called So Far, which is a warning every time there is a red alert for incoming missiles or rockets to Israel. And
TZOFAR?
yeah, I think that's it. TZ or TS, one or the other. But anyway, it was going off constantly. I mean, constantly. And now it is rare that anything pops up. Iran has not been firing anything that has gotten to Israel.
Yeah.
It's been TZ. It's been a couple of weeks since the Houthis fired anything that, at the port of Eilat. Hamas is subdued to the point where they're not firing anything into Israel. That is a blessing, but there are still concerns, obviously, people have about whether or not things are going to flare up again. And so we understood that. That's why we backed things up a year. Our prayer also is that the infusion treatments will improve my physical condition to the point where getting through a couple of weeks of travel will be much easier. I mean, just the conference this past weekend was physically draining. So, yeah, you can imagine how 2 weeks of getting up and out and about and, seeing the sights will be. Although, made it through last October fairly well. Grace sufficient for the day. So if you're interested in reserving your place, and we will guarantee the best tour guides in Israel and teachings on the bus, teachings in the evenings, and taking you places that most other tours do not. You can go to gilberthouse.org/travel to find out more. That's gilberthouse.org/travel.
Amen. So please join us. Anything else?
Tomorrow morning, Gilbert House Fellowship returns. Bible study is back. And tomorrow evening, another episode of Iron and Myth.
You do not want a myth, Iron and Myth, because it's actually really going to be a great show. And you're talking about aliens now?
We are talking about aliens, how Hollywood depicts aliens and how we as Christians understand extraterrestrials. So it's not just, movie reviews or anything like that. How do we use depictions of aliens on television and in movies to discuss the subject with our friends and family members? Because obviously it's something we're all fascinated by, or most of us anyway. And it is a genre of entertainment that has become that has been very popular since the late 1940s.
Yeah, that is so true. By the way, Dr. Cowbell, Dr. Judd Burton,
Yes.
is offering curriculum for homeschoolers.
Yes.
And he's offering a deal on it right now.
Yeah. So check that out at burtonbeyond.net. We encourage this. If you homeschool and you're looking for history curricula, both U.S. and world history, with a bit of a blurry flavor, if you know what I mean.
Something that gets your kids really excited about learning.
Supernatural included in the curriculum. Check that out, burtonbeyond.net. Very happy to see that Judd is working on producing that kind of content.
And speaking of you, not the Iron and Myth, you had a discussion with me, so I don't know if you're ready to announce that VFTB, as it stands, is probably going to go on pause for a while.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I do have an interview scheduled with Israeli author Will Blesh this coming Wednesday, and I've already backed that up twice because of...
Oh, yeah.
We've got medical things and more. There were other things that popped up unexpectedly. So that one will be up in a couple of weeks. Not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday. And I may have a discussion with Scott from the Black Sheep podcast.
Oh, excellent.
That will go up in a couple of weeks. But because our schedule has suddenly become so filled with doctor's appointments, and now with my new book out there, War of the Watchers, and interview requests of me, it is becoming very difficult for me to find time to schedule appointments to record and then edit the video for A View from the Bunker. So A View from the Bunker will probably, by the end of August, will probably go on hiatus. Iron and Myth will continue. I can do that once a month, but just finding the time and the energy especially to do it is getting difficult. So that is likely to be the case. But you can get the old, if you're relatively new to us and not aware of the stuff we've been doing for the last 21 years, Way Back Wednesday and Throwback Thursday, subscribe to our Substack account at gilberthouse.substack.com. And every Wednesday and Thursday, we're featuring some of the best from the past 21 years out of our archives. So interviews with, we just put up an interview that we do with Jerome Corsi.
Oh,
remember him?
Jerry Corsi, yes.
About the North American Union.
Yes.
Yeah. And so things like that, interviews, some of the first interviews we've done with the late Dr. Tom Horn, the late Russ Dizdar, plenty of others that we've got coming up. So you'll be getting that even if you're not getting brand new content on Sunday nights. So anyway, that's what's up. Yeah, aliens, and then for September we talk chaos monsters, or otherwise, I think we're going to title the episode "The Gospel According to Godzilla."
Yes, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And now that we're pretty much done, I get to go battle the weeds some more.
Yay! Until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. We love you guys so much. Take care. Bye bye, everybody.
PID radio is on the air. Politics, prophecies, and conspiracy.